tell a story about myself. Hello, I'm Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Here's a picture of me. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. As a kid, I could suck at baseball and loved to play pass with my friends. I grew up through a time of segregation, which meant black people did not have many rights as white people. The laws were called Jim Crow laws. We had separate drinking fountains, bathrooms, and schools that were not as good as the ones for white people. Here's the house that I grew up in, an example of segregation. I went to Moore. My parents believed in getting a good education, so I worked hard in school and went to Morehouse College. When I went to college, I planned to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I decided to be a minister like my father and grandfather. I went to Crozer Theological Seminary to become a minister, and then got my doctorate from Boston College. After becoming the minister of Dexter Avenue Church, I decided I wanted to help end segregation with peaceful protests. Here's a graduation picture in the church that I went to. I married Coretta Scott King and started a family. Here's a picture. Here's two pictures of my family. The first thing I did for the civil rights movement was the Montgomery bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama. For over a year, black people in Montgomery refused to ride the city buses until the United States Supreme Court decided racial segregation on buses is unconstitutional. This was a major victory for the civil rights movement. Here's me telling black people not to get on the bus. One of the buses. I was arrested several times for my protest across the South, but I always was peaceful. Here's a picture of me getting arrested and in jail. I wrote books about the presidents and gave speeches. My most famous speech was How I Have a Dream during March on Washington. Here's one of the microphones that I used in the speech. And here's one of the books that I wrote. Here's a picture of some of the presidents that I met, and that's me writing that book right there. And I have dream speeches. Here's my favorite one. I was named Time Magazine Man of the Year. In 1964, I became the youngest person to ever win the Nobel Prize. Time Magazine. And Nobel Prize. In 1964, my work with the Civil Rights Movement finally got Congress to pass the Civil Rights Bill. This made it illegal to discriminate against black people for their jobs, education, housing, and transportation. I kept on working to get equal voting rights for black people, and then started working to end poverty. Here's a picture of a president signing the Civil Rights Bill and the marching one time. I did many marches. After all my work to have peaceful protests and demonstrations, I was shot in the head by James O. Ray on April 4th, 1968, on the Lorian Motel balcony in Memphis, Tennessee. I was getting ready for another peaceful march. Here's the balcony I stood on when I got shot in the head. My funeral was attended by world leaders, politicians, and celebrities. Here's my funeral march that I had. And that's the end of my story. Any questions? True.
Mr. Luther King, is it true that you worked with Malcolm X in the civil rights movement?
Yes. Sarah.
Did you have any children?
I think I have
got shot in the head, you were assassinated?
Yes. Evan.
How old were you when you died?
Not positive, but I know I wasn't that old. Grace.
Didn't you meet Roberto Clemente and Babe Ruth?
No. I died before he did all this marching.
Casey.
Didn't the person who assassinated you got sent to jail?
Yes. Anya. Gavin.
Do you know how many people attended your funeral?
I do not know, but I know that there were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I know.
Exact probably one.
Robertson.
Why did so many people attend your funeral?
Because I made a huge impact on America's history because I was able to change the rates for black because almost everywhere in the United States, black people did not have the as many rights as white, and so I had to travel everywhere in order to end that poverty and segregation so that I could switch the world to be normal, so black people could have everything the same as white.
Great answer.
Mason.
Do you know which states allowed black people have the same rights as white, or was there none?
There was most states were most states were in the South where black people did not have as many rights. But up in the North, they still didn't have as many. They still had some things about blacks that they did, but
They had more rights?
but not as much in the North. Yes. Gavin.
Wait, were you still trying to stop slavery?
No, I was not in the time of slavery. I'm glad I wasn't in the time. I'm glad I wasn't in slavery because then I would have to do double the work.
Gavin, this gentleman here lived and worked to create equal rights in the United States almost 100 years after slavery ended. So again, we've had so many examples of how slow change can take to occur. And this is such a fine example that 100 years after Abraham Lincoln ended slavery, this is still going on, this fight for equality. And I think many people, Gavin, would say it's still going on today. How about a round of applause for Dr. Martin?